Many people hold false beliefs in the fairy tales about love, its importance in relationships, and even how to treat women. I can't emphasize enough how important it is to leave this fantasy world in order to become a true man who can recognize the truth for what it is, which is why it is stated so frequently in many of the films on this site. There are several ways the procedure can proceed. Many of you started looking for the truth because of social media or broad knowledge of the masculinity crisis, but many of you may have been painfully awakened by the hardships of life. These truths' true worth is primarily found on the ladder. It's debatable how many self-help movies have helped men overcome despair or taught them a lesson they'll carry with them for the rest of their lives, but many people don't realize that the experiences revealed by these former victims are fully based on actual occurrences. The majority of these are wholly based on our understanding of female conduct, according to many of these first-hand witnesses to the unpleasant realities of life. That's because a man's interactions with women romantically play a significant role in his life. Our current generation is obviously failing, as entire generations of men have been formed by their interactions with the women of their period. Perhaps you're asking how such a thing is ever conceivable. In fact, these kinds of encounters are so commonplace now that you can always find someone, usually one of your male friends or co-workers, talking about how dating is useless and how all women are supposedly terrible witches out to get you. Take this video more as a cautionary tale about what might one day happen to you. Be cautious about the words you listen to, since this video might prepare you for the darkest times of your life. Having said that, let's talk about the 5 unforgiving realities about women that men discover the hard way. 1. She will put you to the test non-stop. The most crucial aspect of female conduct to keep in mind is certainly this. A woman will test your manly frame with the great majority of the things she does to you, whether she does it purposefully or more frequently inadvertently. The majority of women will pursue a man who is stronger than they can find, since it is a woman's natural desire to test your stability and strength to increase your chances of surviving. The adage, men date down, women date up, is referenced in this. When a woman tests you, all she really wants to know is if you can satisfy her inborn need for protection and safety. As a result, every time you fail these tests, she will start to feel less attracted to and respect you. The majority of males today are completely unaware that this is a thing or that it is even taking place. When they are drowning in ignorance, they grumble about their dating encounters after they fail repeatedly. Regardless of the circumstance, all you need to do to make her happy is to concentrate primarily on your macho road to success. A successful man is one who is able to match his dating life with his goals. So, one must resist her temptations if they want to succeed with women. One day it could seem like the wisest course of action is to put off your gym workout in order to get her approval, but it would be a failure on one of these tests. Obviously, this does not imply that you should become a self-absorbed, woman-hating man, but rather that you should learn the difference between appeasing your girlfriend and compromising your own goals. Second, if you give her the chance, she will dominate you. Take a look around you. The typical dynamic in a modern partnership is a strong, assertive woman and a weak, vulnerable, and submissive male. You could be perplexed as to why there are so many relationships of this nature and whether or not this state of affairs ought to be the norm. It's not, in actuality. Because their partners are incapable of taking the lead in the relationship, there are a lot of domineering women in society. All partnerships contain both a dominant and a submissive element, no matter how harsh it may sound to you. There can never be 2 rulers or 2 leaders who share equal power, whether they are a supervisor and an employee or a king and a queen. She will take advantage of you and convert the relationship into her own private property if you don't maintain your natural dominant role. The sad reality is that when a woman protests that she should be the dominant one in a relationship, everyone is quick to hail her as a slay queen, but the moment a man chooses to act in accordance with his natural, traditional role as the head of the household, he is criticized as a controlling jerk. Why does only one side of the debate receive a response? Our entire generation of guys have been influenced by this to believe that they should be submissive and fragile. Even while you may be thinking, at least it keeps my girlfriend happy, the truth is that a relationship's twisted dynamics will ultimately lead to its demise over time. Encourage women to embrace their feminine side, which is calm, modest, accepting of beauty and emotion, nurturing, and warm and compassionate. Your life will be more content with a submissive woman than it ever will be with a slave queen. Naturally, this does not imply that you must consider her as a mere object or a less than human being. But you must also remember that you must never regard her as a goddess or submit to her authority. Simply love her through life, take care of her, and take the initiative in as many of your contacts with her as you can. Keeping a woman is difficult. The happily ever after myth is one of the modern lies that is most frequently accepted. So many relationships have been ruined by this Hollywood illusion. The majority of women think that if their relationship doesn't have a happily ever after ending, their boyfriend doesn't deserve their respect. Men have also been misled by this myth into believing that once they find the lady of their dreams, they may unwind and enjoy her company for the rest of their life without having to put in any effort. Following that, they proceed to get dumped for another man who put in effort as they wasted their time living in blissful love. The truth is that if you want to keep your girlfriend, you have to put a lot of effort into improving yourself. You must keep going down the same route that got you there in the first place and work for your desired future. Other men might try to steal your daughter from you, and they probably will. Some may even succeed, but the only way to completely avoid it is to make every effort to level up each and every day. Beginning with the knowledge that you cannot take her for granted. If you do this and become comfortable, you will drop in her list of alternatives, and the lower you are on the list, the more likely it is that she will pass you over in favor of someone better. Brothers, keep in mind that although some people may find these hard truths upsetting, most men discover them too late. Therefore, always remind yourself that a man's life is one of discipline and hard labor. Don't get me wrong, I think love and attraction are wonderful, but they are only temporary repositories. Don't let them impede your development. Most women claim to love you without conditions, but they have no idea what that phrase even means. Her unconditional love won't be as unconditional if you develop an alcohol problem or lose respect for other men. Remember that only your mother and, even more so, God Almighty will love you in an unconditional way. Number 4. Women detest emotionally unstable males. I've read a ton of information about the legitimacy of men's emotions. Men's mental health issues must be understood, and I don't object to any of the advancements society has made in that area. I object to the recent publicity that has promoted a weak mentality. Modern men think that showing emotion not only makes you normal, but also attractive to possible spouses. The opposite is true, as you can see. More than any other poisonous behavior, women despise the modern emotional male. The worst thing about it is that almost all of them will say, "Oh, males should cry." You are further sucked into the destructive belief when someone says, "You should be more in touch with your emotions." The best course of action in this situation is to cultivate a strong emotional self-control and maintain your strength as nature intended. The quickest way to lose all of her admiration and attraction is to cry in front of her, and that's without even taking into account the terrible consequences for the remainder of your social interactions. Most men misunderstand this. They believe that keeping your emotions under wraps and not sobbing in front of a woman requires you to be some sort of macho man. That is untrue. Simply realize that there are many better solutions to your problem than grumbling about it, and that these solutions will have a far greater wow for you. You'll gain more respect from people, especially ladies, if you adopt a stoic approach and keep control of your emotions. Number 5. It's a mistake to believe what she says. Some of you may view this as simple sense, but for many people, it only sends sexist messages about women. The vast majority of men naively believe what their partners say, only to discover that they've been lying or cheating on them the entire time. This is so that women can easily deceive us with their polite demeanor and tones while they are secretly conspiring against us. Of course, I'm not suggesting you shouldn't believe her or that anything she says is a lie. But I'm here to tell you that she speaks more with her acts than with words. Regardless of what she tells you, you'll be able to determine whether she's lying or betraying you because of changes in her behavior. Learn to interpret her behavior by contrasting it with her spoken statements. So keep in mind, brothers, that most men discover these truths too late and that they are best learned in the actual world. You can use these suggestions as a tool to assist you get over these challenges.